empire as a watershed empire in history. Dramatist, playwright, and icon of Yoruba thematic arts, Duro Ladipo was born December 18, 1931 in Osogbo, southwest Nigeria. His clergyman father christened him Timothy. His other names, Duro Dola, Duro Shomo, Duro Rike, reflected his persona and the circumstances that surrounded his birth. The legendary stage actor had in several public fora identified himself as one of the greatest abikus born to die in this world. Family records reveal how he was born and died 13 times. The intertwining names he bore thus lent credence to his spiritism. Duro Ladipo was one of the best-known and world-acclaimed Yoruba dramatists to emerge from post-colonial Africa. His notable works, Obakoso, Obawaja, and Moremi, took him beyond Africa to several parts of the world. By the time Duro Ladipo died on 11 March 1978, the Nigeria's first cultural ambassador had acquired a towering image as an artist whose works adorned the frontage of Trenchard Hall, University of Ibadan. Western Spring Television identifies Duro Ladipo as a major character in history. Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was an educationist and advocate of women's rights. She was recognized for her vitriolic comments against colonial policy of taxation as it affected the Nigerian women. Bere, as fondly addressed by her women followers, Fumilayo championed the initiation of universal adult suffrage, which gave an unprecedented leeway for women to contest elective offices and power to exercise voting rights. Married to a foremost educationist and teacher, Israel Oladotun Ransom Kuti, the first president of Nigeria Union of Teachers, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti was the mother of children who inherited her spirit of activism. Olufela and Be Kololari, the former, a renowned musical legend. She was the first female student of Abeokuta Grammar School and the first female to own and drive a car in Nigeria. The award recipient of Member of Order of Nigeria MON and Lenin Peace Prize, was born on 25th October 1900 and was killed on 13th April 1978 by rampaging road soldiers in Lagos. Western Spring Television identifies Fumilayo Ransom Kuti as a watershed character in history. Hilas Olayinka Herbert Macaulay, politician, nationalist and journalist, was the first Nigerian to qualify as a civil engineer, surveyor and architect. Born on November 14, 1864, Herbert Macaulay was the founder of Nigeria's National Democratic Party, the first political party in pre-independent Nigeria. Scholars of Nigeria's political history describe Herbert Macaulay as the intellectual bulldog of 19th century Nigerian nationalist movement, in deference to his qualities as founder and leader of two foremost political parties, Nigeria National Democratic Party (NNDP) and National Council of Nigerian Citizens (NCNC). His matchless versatility in party organization and control kept the British colonialists on their toes in the entire span of his active life. After his death on 7th May 1946, Herbert Macaulay remains a hero of his country, which recognized his anti-colonial struggles. Today, Nigeria's 10 naira coin bears his oval face and trademark moustache. Western Spring Television identifies Herbert Macaulay as a major character in history.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sport Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph ATEWEH,
and your sports Amazon, NENGI Ernest.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Kiriji War, also known as Ekiti-Parapo War, was waged among Yoruba main ethnic groups which emerged from the ruins of the falling Oyo Empire that were desperate to replace the awesome powers hitherto wielded by the Alaafin of Oyo. The Kiriji War is defined as a conflict of confederacy and unitary political system championed by Yorubas of different socio-economic and political interests. The Ibadan military aristocrats felt they deserved a dominant position for saving Yoruba land from being totally submerged by the Fulanis by their victory in Osogbo War of 1840 and Ijaye War of 1862. Kiriji War, that took its name from the booming motor sounds of European arms, festered for so long because the Industrial Revolution in Europe provoked high standards of slaves. The 16-year Civil War also caused the emergence of new powerful kingdoms like Ibadan and the rise of powerful personalities like Oluyole, Ogunmola, Kuromi, Latosha, Shodeke, Fabumi, and Ogedengbe. One of the fallouts of Kiriji War was the birth of creative political and leadership structure in Yoruba land that was a blend of federalism and the autocratic monarchical system. Western Spring Television identifies Kiriji War as a watershed event. The Korean War of 1950 to 1953 pitched North and South Korea against each other in response to intrigues by nations beyond their border with different interests from those canvassed by the two brother nations. The Korean War had all the nuances of an external conflict induced by powers that were interested in subjugating North and South Korea. Japan had leveraged on its military power to annex Korea in 1900 and imposed a military union that did not sit well with the citizens. Japan not only lost its war of conquest against Korea, all its powers were obliterated by the effect of the World War II. The end of World War II got Korea divided into two nations along 38th parallel lines by the instrumentality of the United States of America and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. The Korean War lapsed into a Cold War when it stopped the prying eyes of external forces into the internal affairs of a nation now divided along its north and southern territories. Western Spring Television identifies the Korean War as a major event in history. Western Spring Television, ours it is.
All right, good morning. Welcome to the show. It's a Sports Swing on Western Swing Television, where we give you stories making headlines in the world of sports. My name is Joseph ATEWEH, saying good morning.
And I am NENGI ERNEST-ADEMOLA, and thanks for joining us on the Monday edition of Sports Swing on Western Spring Television. A whole lot on our bucket list, which will be ticked soon enough. Now, from the start of the match against between Arsenal and Manchester United, it was already said, it was already done, it was already written in the stats that Arsenal were going to definitely go on in the international break with a win against Manchester United. However, in the US Open, we also know that world number one Iga Swiatek, of course, has exited the US Open Championship with a shocking defeat from Jelena Ostapenko, while the likes of Novak Djokovic and Coco Gauff are through to the next round. Now, all of this and more will form part of our discussion this Monday morning, not forgetting the Italian Grand Prix, of course, where Max Verstappen got his 10th consecutive Grand Prix victory right there at the Italian Grand Prix. Now, all of this and more will definitely form our topics and, of course, discussion this morning. Welcome on board once again as we start off from the local scene.
And of course, we start from the local scene, and we start with the Super Eagles coach, Jose Peseiro, who has accepted a pay cut from the Nigeria Football Federation at the moment.
Absolutely. Now, let's give you details as it concerns that. Now, the Nigerian Football Federation and Jose Santos Peseiro has reached an agreement for the latter to continue in his role as head coach of the senior men's national team of Nigeria, that's the Super Eagles. Now, in a statement from the Federation on Sunday, the extension follows the clause in the contract for the coach to lead the Super Eagles to the next African Cup of Nations, and it reads in their words, and I quote, as stipulated in the original contract drawn in May 2022, the Portuguese has been handed the mandate to lead the Super Eagles to, in the minimum, the semi-finals of the 34th African Cup of Nations, finals taking place in Cote d'Ivoire in a few months. Now, Peseiro has led the Super Eagles through the qualifiers and to a ticket with a match to spare, including a 10-0 record international win against Sao Tome and Principe in Agadir, Morocco in June 2022. And that, in conclusion, states that he has now agreed to continue in the role after accepting a pay cut on his earlier terms, with the new agreement also putting him in charge of the Super Eagles B, the home-based professionals who contest the biennial African Nations Championship. Well, Joseph, I think during the weekend we also heard about the fact that, what's his name now, Austin Iguavoin was to lead the Super Eagles down to the qualifiers, the remaining qualifiers, and of course maybe eventually to the AFCON, the 34th edition of the AFCON in Ivory Coast come January. But then here is the news, Joseph. Jose Peseiro has finally accepted pay cut, and definitely he will be leading the Super Eagles to the semi-finals. Well,
he'll be leading the Super Eagles to the African Cup of Nations, that we understand, after accepting a pay cut. So wait and see. I think it's the right step in the right direction, considering the fact that he's used to the team, and of course, as we say all the time, consistency is key. So he would definitely take the team to the African Cup of Nations. And away from that, still with the national team, we know that William Ekong and some other players have been listed by Jose Peseiro.
Of course, let's give you how the full list stands according to most of what the dailies have reported this morning, of course, and since yesterday. Now, do not forget that the Super Eagles coach, Jose Peseiro, who accepted a pay cut, I mean, the NFF has given him the target to take the Super Eagles of Nigeria to the semi-finals of the 34th edition of the AFCON, which kickstarts in January 2024. Now, the Super Eagles coach Jose Peseiro has invited on-field captain William Ekong, defender Tyrone Eboehi and Semi Ajayi, midfielders Wilfred Ndidi and Frank Oyeka, as well as forwards Moses Simon, Victor Osimhen and Taiwo Awoniyi for next weekend's qualification series final day encounter against Sao Tome and Principe in Uyo. Now, Peseiro called 3 goalkeepers, including home base on Loruleke Ojo, 8 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 8 forwards for the game slated for the Godswill Akpabio Stadium on Sunday, 10th of September. Now, Nigeria on 12 points from their previous 5 matches are already guaranteed a place in the finals, but must earn at least a point to be sure of topping the group ahead of second-placed Guinea-Bissau, who are on 10 points and play at home to Sierra Leone in Bissau. Now, Peseiro has called for the first-time Belgium-based centre-back Jordan Torunaria, and forwards Victor Boniface and Gift Orban. And there are recalls for Portugal-based left-back Bruno Onyemachi and defensive midfielder Rafael Onyedika. So let's give you a full list of all the invited players set up for the clash Sunday 10th in Uyo. Now, for the goalkeepers, we have Francis Uzoho, we have Olorunleke Ojo, like I earlier stated, from Enyimba FC. We also have Adebayo Adeleye. For the defenders, we have Olaoluwa Aina from Nottingham Forest, and we also have Tyrone Ebuehi, Jordan Torunaria, and Williams Trust Ekong, not leaving out the likes of Semi Ajayi, Calvin Bassi, Jamilu Collins, and Bruno Onyemachi. For the midfielders, we also understand that Wilfred Ndidi definitely got a call up. Of course, he plays it straight in Leicester City, England. Rafael Onyedika, Joe Ayodele Aribo, and we also have Frank Oyeka that forms the midfielders who have gained call up. Now, for the forwards, we have Kelechi Iheanacho, Samuel Chukwueze of AC Milan, Moses Simon of FC Nantes in France, Ademola Lookman of Atlanta FC, Victor Osimhen of Napoli FC, Taiwo Awoniyi of Nottingham Forest. Of course, that man has been firing all cylinders so far so good, and Gift up and getting his very first call up for the Super Eagles, and not leaving out Victor Boniface, who plays it straight in Bayer Leverkusen, Germany. I tell you for sure that it says to be an interesting clash between the Super Eagles and Charlton and Principe Joseph.
Of course, we wait and see. Now, apart from the 150 million winners of prize money, other teams will be rewarded only Tracy Plate United match to hold on opening day. Now, strategic partners to the Nigerian Premier Football League, the GTI Asset Management and Trust Limited, may announce a title sponsor for the league this week. Sources close to the financial outfitter said. Now, since Globalcom withdrew its sponsorship of the league in the 2016-2017 season, the league has run without a title sponsor, but that is about to change. We also know that a broker who was in a meeting with the GT last week told The Guardian that the asset management body is about finalizing details with the firm for the sponsorship of the league. From all indications, GTL will announce a new title sponsor for the league and some new partnership week. The source said, adding that the league has started attracting interest from within and outside Nigeria. It debunked the reports that only the winner of the league will be rewarded at the end of the season, saying that they are guaranteed prizes for clubs in the league. Now, the GTL on Friday announced that the winner of the league would earn 150 million naira, up from the 100 million given to Enyimba for winning the 2022-2023 season. And
meanwhile, the NPFL Cotton Razor fixture in Ibadan will be the only game to hold on the opening day of the 2023 and 2024 season. And NPFL chairman Winga Elegbeleye said in a statement yesterday that the decision is consistent with the tradition established last season under the then interim management committee, which is the IMC. So Shooting Stars Sports Club, that's a 3SC, will host former champions Plateau United at the Lekon Salami Stadium in Adamasingba, Ibadan on September 9th. And the NPFL boss also noted that the decision was also necessitated by the Super Eagles match on September 10th in Uyo. Of course, the match in Ibadan will be the first to be streamed on the new NPFL Live app on mobile phones and other devices. And authorities of the Lekon Salami Stadium have completed the construction of camera stand with a safe staircase where the AI camera crew and commentators will operate from. Where we're looking forward to the September 9th, of course, where we would have the very first fixture of the new season of the NPFL kickstart. And we do wish all of the clubs, the 20 clubs participating in this one, all the best. And of course, we do hope that for the NPFL Live app, we would get to see the best streaming ever when it comes to the NPFL. And
away from that, Sport Development Minister John Owan Eno has said that the federal government might pull down the National Stadium in Surulere, Lagos, to rebuild and bring it to a functional state. Owan Eno, who had earlier said it will go ahead with the planned concession of the facility, noted that the government would only take the parts that would breathe life into the nearly moribund edifice. Now, the National Stadium, which was built in 1972 ahead of the All-African Games in 1973, has not functioned effectively for over 15 years due to poor maintenance of the facilities?
Well, the immediate past sports minister, Sunday Dare, through his Adopt a Facility program, was able to secure a private sector government partnership that saw Chief Adebutu Kessentin fixing the tartan tracks, the football pitch, and the scoreboard. And of course, speaking at a meeting with stakeholders in Lagos on Friday, Owan Eno said he had been forced to give a second thought to the planned concession given the state of the facility, adding, however, that government will take the best possible option. He said, and I quote, "Of course, I said on Thursday that I will support the concession of the National Stadium in Lagos, but after discussion thereafter, I also think about the possibility of bringing down the stadium because the creative industry has benefited from such arrangements with the National Arts Theatre in Lagos." So we do hope that at the end of the day, if this comes to pass, if the building is being brought down in order to be rejuvenated, we hope that that project would not become an abandoned project. At the end of the day, the new sports minister has of course been visiting stadiums and has been promising to bring life back to most of the stadiums and of course develop sports. So like I would always say, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and we do hope that all of this and more would be done in order to improve the sports sector in Nigeria.
Let's see what more stories making headlines here. We're looking at the WAFU B competition now, and that's the situation with the WAFU B competition.
Of course, let me give you details as it concerns that. Now, Okowa denies allegation of fund embezzlement. Now, this was reported according to the Guardian newspaper. Now, a massive shakeup in the structure of Delta Queens FC of Asaba is imminent following the team's failure to qualify for the 2023 and 2024 CAF Women's Champions League. Now, Delta Queens, let's give you a bit of how they fared during the WAFU League qualifiers. Delta Queens lost the CAF Champions League WAFU ticket to Ampem Dakoa of Ghana, who beat them 1-0 in the final of the playoffs in Benin City, Edo State last week. And the Guardian learned yesterday that Delta State government is not satisfied with the attitude of team's official and some of the players who on the day of the final match channeled their attention into payment of allowances instead of focusing on the task of winning the match. Now, an official of the club alleged that officials of Delta State Sports Commission embezzled money released by the state government for the team during the competition, and according to the source, the club officials were only paid allowances for one day from July and August and 60,000 naira for 3 match bonuses, and that they were denied Governor Sharif's approved $100,000 $100 each daily allowance. However, chairman of the Delta Sports Commission, Tonobok Okowa, who rushed back from Budapest venue of the 19th World Athletics Championship in Hungary to support the Delta Queens FC, said there is no iota of truth in the allegation of fund embezzlement raised by the club officials. I could recall at a particular time before Delta Queens went into the semi-finals of the WAFU B League qualifiers. Of course, there were news circulating the media, news circulating all of the social media platforms, talking about the fact that they wanted to boycott a particular match due to unpaid allowances. Now, there is more to this story as it is reported by the Guardian newspaper, and would follow this closely to bring you more updates as it unfolds.
Away from that, Ese Brume yesterday became the first Nigerian field athletes to qualify for the final of the Diamond League, which is athletics Premier One-Day Series, by jumping 6.71 meters at the 12th of the 14-leg leagues meeting in China. The long jumpers' leap was enough to ensure a third-place finish behind reigning world indoor and outdoor champion Ivan Vuleta of Serbia, who sat at 6.88 meters, meeting record, and Burkina Faso's Mati Kuala, who jumped 6.79 meters, 8 timers farther than the Nigerian. Now, for her efforts, Brume earned 6 points, an overall point total of 16, to secure a place as one of the 6 athletes that will compete in Oregon, the United States, where the final of the event will hold for the first time in a fortnight.
And just to also add to what Joseph has rightly stated concerning Ese Brume, of course, making history right there, because she did talk about the fact that despite her wasted effort in the concluded World Athletics Championship, that's the 19th edition, she was going to come back as strong. And of course, we're getting to see proof of that. And for the first time, Nigeria will now have 2 athletes at the final of the Diamond League the same year. Sprint hurdler Tobi Amuso made history in 2021 when she became the first Nigerian to win a Diamond League trophy as she successfully defeated defended her title last year, running at 12.29 seconds, meeting record at World Class Zurich. Now, this year, Amusan will also be gunning to become the second woman after Dawn Harper Nelson to win a hat-trick of Diamond League titles in the 100 meters hurdles. And Brume, on her own, will be seeking to become the second Nigeria to win a Diamond League trophy and the first to do it in a field event. So definitely all the best to Esa Brume and, of course, to Tobiloba Musa. All
right, let's go on the break and give you highlights for matches played over the weekend. When we come back, more analysis as far as sports is concerned.